So on to George Lindsay's third baseball paper titled An Investigation of Strategies in Baseball. And this is probably Lindsay's most important paper that really lays the groundwork for sabermetrics for the next 50 years, frankly. And a quote from the paper starts this way: "By collecting statistics from a large number of baseball games, it should be possible to examine the probability distributions of the number of runs resulting from these various situations. The object of all choices is to maximize the probability of winning the game." So winning probability, the probability of winning the game of baseball, is part of what Lindsay's getting at in this paper. He's also looking at probability distributions of the number of runs in the game of baseball based on various situations of the game. Now, he goes on to analyze baseball strategies by managers and coaches. He analyzes the question of whether or not to steal a base, whether or not to use a sacrifice hit, sacrifice bunt with less than 2 outs. Should you use the intentional walk, and in what situations? If there's a man on first and third, or first, second, and third, and the bases are loaded, do you play in to prevent the run from scoring, or do you play back for the double play? So all these different situations are analyzed in this paper. But the reason sabermetricians still study this paper is because for the first time, Lindsay describes run probability based on the situation of the game, the probability of scoring runs. And he also describes the probability of winning the game. So win probability gets defined in this paper, as does run probability. Now, the first thing that Lindsay describes is the probability, and this is described in his figure 1 and 2 from this paper. Figure 1 is the probability that the visiting team will win the game if they are so many runs ahead at the end of the inning. So what this graph shows you is that if the score is tied, or if the visiting team is up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 runs, or is losing by the same amount as described over here, this is the win probability described over the innings. This is the winning probability graphed out over the 9 innings for the visiting team. And you can see the visiting team is slightly less at the end of their half inning of winning the game because the home team still has a chance to come to bat and score a run. Figure 2 is the probability of winning the game by the home team if they are this many runs as described on the graph. The runs here, they're behind or ahead. And you can see how this graph fans out as the game goes on. In other words, the win probability shifts from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. Okay? And the big conclusion that he makes here is the most valuable runs in the whole game of baseball. The most valuable runs are those that tie the score or put the team 1 run ahead. And you can see that. Going from winning the game by 3 runs here to winning the game by 4 runs, that run doesn't add much in win probability in the 6th inning or the 8th inning or even the 2nd inning. That win probability is only this difference. The biggest difference is between 0 and 1, when the game is tied and you go up by 1, or when you're behind by 1 run and then you tie the game. Those runs around the tie score, either positively for your team or negatively for your team, are the most important runs in the game of baseball because they have the biggest probability of impacting the game, impacting the winning of the game. And you can also see a real effect as the game goes on. As the innings move on and you get closer and closer to the end of the game, that 1 run matters so much more. It has a huge impact on win probability. And obviously, we can go all the way to the 9th inning. If the game is tied and you score 1 run, you impact the game by 50% probability. You go from a 50% chance of winning the game to a 100% chance of winning the game if you're the home team and you score a run. So that's in a very important run here. And for those sabermetricians today who like to understand the progress of the game and the changing win probabilities by situation, this is the introduction to it. Lindsay introduces us to this concept of win probability here. And these graphs show you again that the most valuable runs are those that tie the score or put the team one run ahead. Those are the runs that matter in the game of baseball.